Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 3, Modern Literature B. In this video, we want to discuss about a literature research article. I'm NUROH FEBRIYANTI and I will begin with introduction. So, our group will discuss about symbolism in Katherine Porter short story Rope by Park S. Yohana. My group take this journal from Nobel UIN Sunan Ampel Surabaya, Journal of Literature and Language Teaching, Volume 9, Number 1, April 2018. As the title suggests, this article is discussed a story by American novelist, essayist, story writer, novelist, and political activist Katherine Porter with the title Rope. The story about a married couple who get into an argument due to a bundle of rope. Further explanation will be explained by my friend.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm RIZKI and FAJRIN, and here I want to give you an explanation, the reason why we choose the article. And the first reason is this short story that talk in this article is really interesting. When I read this article, I never read this short story before, and when I read the article, I think, oh my god, this short story is really interesting. This short story is talking about a marriage couple who fight because of a rope and a coffee. And I think that's really funny and interesting to talk. And the second is, this article is very helpful for knowing the symbolism in this short story and its meaning. As I talked before, this marriage couple is fight because of a rope and coffee. But when I read it, a rope and a coffee is a symbolism, and this short story is full of symbolism and give us the meaning about it. So the short story is really helpful to know the meaning behind the story. And the last is, the researcher write this article using in-depth descriptive study but can be present briefly. So this article is really short. It's like 8 or 9 page and really helpful to understand and really easy to write. So me personally really enjoy when I reading this article. And because of this article, I want to read the whole short story. I think that from me, that's the reason why we choose the article. And thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
My name is PRIAMBODO. I would like to present about the strength and weakness of the research study. This article have a clear analysis through the evidence within the article. There are lots of strong quotations that captured from the short story. This article also very original and has no plagiarism inside. Nevertheless, some of the explanations are convoluted. The author inspect the concept of symbolism. There are many aspects could be explained as a symbolism, yet the author only focused on the symbolism of the rope. I guess because the rope is the title of the short story, therefore the author focused on that. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is RIZFI RAHMA. Well, in today's presentation, I would like to explain about the conclusion that we have already discussed in our group. This is related with the research article that we have already analyzed, with the title Symbolism in Katherine Porter's short story Rope by Park S. Yohana. Well, I will begin by giving you an overview of this conclusion. It's starting with the substance of this research article. Then I will deal with the evaluation of this substance of this research article. Well, there are some points that needs to be highlighted in this research article related with the substance of this research article, including the introduction or the background information, and the second one is the discussion, and the last is the conclusion. Well, let me start by looking at the introduction first. In this introduction, the researcher raised some points on her introduction. The first point is the researcher reveals the definition of a symbolism based on the argument from Tyndall, 1955. The second point is the researcher clearly reveals the symbolism, which brings the theme of the short story. Well, this theme is very important because it brings the discussion of this research article. Well, regarding to the purpose of this research article, the researcher states in her introduction that this study aims to examine the use of a symbol and the narration technique in Katherine Annie Porter's short story Rope. Meanwhile, to collect the data, the researcher was collected by applying the symbolism theory and examining the narration technique. After that, I will deal with the discussion of this research article. The first point is the researcher reveals some symbolism and what happened in the short story. And it deals with one of Porter's short stories entitled Rope, that used a rope as a symbol to represent the unseen disappointment that young people experiences. And also the second point, the findings show that the argument over the rope reveals the wife's hidden frustration and her husband's inability to understand her troubles. Well, I will move on to the conclusion part, that is states from the researcher. That is, the researcher reveals that in Rope, Porter illustrates frustration and disappointment hidden in everyday life. The researcher also states that a rope becomes a symbolic chain that joins them in a misery. Well, considering the clearly explanation by the researcher about the substance that is used from this article, this also encouraged me to evaluate this research article. Then I will move on to the evaluation. The first thing is the paper. Based on our group discussion, this research study is very helpful for knowing the true symbolism in a short story, and also helping us to understand or to know the meaning of this short story through the symbolism that is used for this short story. But it would be nice if the researcher gives a little highlight on her research article, maybe by giving the difference between the quotation and also the explanation of the quotation. Comment is about the structure of this research article. It is very good because the researcher writes in the depth descriptive of analysis, but it should be more neat and structured, so that the reader doesn't bored and confused when reading this analysis, because it can make the reader confused when they read this analysis of this research study. This one is the evaluation of the discussion. Based on our group discussion, this research is quite interesting to read, because the researcher also chose the fun story in her research article. But the weakness is the writer tends to be pedantic and only focus on discussing one symbol or topic, and not to discuss the other symbol of this short story. Well, in conclusion, this research article provides information for the reader about the analysis symbolism in Katherine Porter's Rope. That is very interesting and quite interesting to read and to analyze about this symbolism in short story Porter. Also, there are some weaknesses that we found in this research article, but the researcher can describe in-depth descriptive of this analysis. Maybe that's all for our presentation. Because I'm the last presenter of this presentation, we apologize if we have a mistake. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is NILA Agustin and I will present about suggestion to the author. It will be nice if the research gives a little highlight on the research made by giving the difference between the quotation and the explanation of the quotation. This research should also be more structured and neat so that the reader doesn't feel bored. The research is quite interesting and easy to understand, with the selection of a fun story, but the writer tends to be pedantic and only focuses on discussing one symbol or topic and does not discuss other symbols. Thank you for your attention.